This last lecture in Chapter 5 is using the TI-83 to calculate measures of center and measures of variation. Again, you don't need to own one of these. You can always use the internet. But if you have one of these calculators, first of all, we're going to turn it on. I always like to clear out my screen. We need to get our observations entered into the calculator. And in order to do that, there's a key called STAT. Now, if you look at where my mouse is sitting right now, it's on the word STAT. That key stands for statistics, so we're going to be using it often when we use this calculator in class. I'm going to edit my list. Notice edit is highlighted in the far upper right. I'm going to press enter to select edit. I have a whole different calculator, been using it for a number of different things than you have been using yours for, so we will not have matching data. We need to clear out the data so that we can get a match. I'm going to go up to the top to list 2, press clear and enter. Notice if I press clear in this location, it only clears, or actually in this one it didn't clear anything. I'm going to go to the very top, clear out the whole list, press enter so it clears out my list. We only have one variable of study, so we're only going to be using list 1. We're just going to put some values in there and calculate some measures. So I'm going to put 11. So I have 10, 11, 11 again, 12, 13, and then maybe I'm going to put in this number 25. So it looks like 25 is a much larger number than the rest. It's an extreme value to the right. It should be skewing this right. Let's go ahead and see what happens. We want to calculate our measures. So again, I'm going to go into statistic or stat. Now I'm going to go over to calculate, calc for calculate. I only have one variable entered, so I'm going to press enter, and the list I stored that variable in was list 1. If you look underneath the number 1, there's L1 in yellow. To get anything in yellow, I hit second, number 1. So it's going to calculate the one variable statistics for the values I put into list 1. So when I press enter, there are my values. Notice the calculator gives me X bar as 13 point. We'll round that to 67. That was X bar. Notice my calculator doesn't give me mu, the mean of the population, because isn't the mean of the population going to be the mean of the sample if the data I put in was all of it or even a sample of it? Notice I'm going to skip down. I'm going to go down to S with a little x, 5.64. And then the other one is I want sigma. Notice they're not the same, 5.15. And the reason for this is in a sample we divided by the n-1, and in a population I divide by the total number in that population, which is uppercase N. N is 6, N is the number in my sample. If I can continue down, the min for my box plot is 10, quartile 1 is 11, the median is 11.5, quartile 3 is 13. So the other value that we're looking for measure of center is the median, which is 11.5. Now remember when we talked about this idea of skewness, if you notice 13.67 or 13 and 67/100ths is larger than 11 and 5/10ths. It's on the right hand side. It was pulled away from the median to the right, and the value of 25 pulled that value to the right. So again, on your calculator, the keys that are the ones you're going to use are the stat key. I always clear out my home screen. I press stat. Edit is where I enter my data. If I only have one variable of interest, it goes in list 1 typically. When I want to do my calculations, I go stat to calculate, and I'm going to do a one variable statistics in list 1. If I happen to accidentally put it in list 2, I could put it in second number 2 or list 2. I don't have anything in list 2, so right now it would produce an error. Notice again, when you look at your values for skewness. If you look at X bar, 13.666 repeating to my median of 11.5, it's on the right-hand side due to the value of 25. Notice here my standard deviation, there's an average distance of about 6 in my sample, 5.64, average distance of the data values away from my mean. That's fairly large due again to the 25. If I was to take my list, let's suppose I just went and deleted the 25, and let's make it 11. What's going to happen to my mean and my standard deviation? Stat, calculate, one variable. Now notice my screen is pretty busy here. I'm going to clear it out and try one more time. Stat, calculate, one variable on list 1, and notice what I get now. My average is 11.3, and my median is 11. 11.3 and 11 are very close to being the same value, so they are fairly symmetric because they land in the same location.